So March 18th is going to be a big day for this game because there's a ton of things going down. Remember that leaked video that was released by Intel and then it got removed within the first hour? Well, that video is officially back up. The official Marvel's Avengers Twitter account went ahead and posted it on their page and on their actual YouTube page. But here's why March 18th is actually going to be huge. The update itself is going to have a ton of stuff. We've got a new hero, a new region, we got the next gen version of the game, and what you're seeing in the background is the introduction to harm rooms. Now, what do you guys think about this? Yes or no? Just simply let me know one of those in the comments below, and drop a like on this video if I guess you have some hope for this game. We all say that it's a sinking ship, right, more or less, and every day as the days go on in general, it definitely feels more and more that way because communication still is very much lacking, but I guess we're onto something. Now, before we continue into the video, please go ahead and check out Instant Gaming. They are today's sponsors as always. They do a bunch of brand new games for an unbeatable price. I always get my PSN cards from them as well because they do a bunch of stuff, so go ahead, check them out. They're always doing discounts and stuff and sales, so it's an absolute no-brainer. Visit that link in the description below. But I want to dive into a video a little bit more with, I guess, fans' reactions to this whole custom harm room video, because like I said, majority of people saw it, but not every single person, because that was taken down, as I mentioned, within the first hour when Intel quote-unquote accidentally leaked it. But it's safe to say it did have a ton of people talking. Now, I do want to clear up a quick confusion. A lot of people assume that it's only for PC. Although Intel released a video and it is an Intel focused video, just for the record, it's going to be available to every single person. Now, if you are stuck on the last gen consoles like myself, then it's probably not going to be so great for us. I could be wrong, but I genuinely think next gen consoles, or the current gen should I say now, are the only consoles that are going to be able to handle this. I would be very, very surprised if the PlayStation 4 can actually handle, especially the custom harm rooms with the maximum capacity, right, when it comes down to the enemies. I'd be very, very shocked, but I just can't see that being a thing, just simply because of the way the game has been lacking. But as I mentioned at the start of the video, right, the first update that's going to be massive is going to be this one. After that, we still know that it's going to be more exciting characters. But also what's interesting is the fact of the next gen release. I feel like this is going to do a lot of things. First of all, it's going to rekindle a lot of the new players, or should I say a lot of the old players back into the game, and then it's going to get a lot of new players into the game. Now, the reason why I say that is because, well, we're in that phase for the new gen consoles, right, where you're sitting there with your PlayStation 5, you're playing games that have backwards compatibility, but how many brand new PlayStation 5 games are out? Hardly any, right? We're going through that new gen drought period of video games. So for a game to be this big, again, this ain't an Anthem, right, just re-releasing on your next gen consoles, this is a Marvel's Avengers game. This is coming with a whole bunch of bug fixes that they resolved since launch, a whole bunch of new content as well, and that's important to take into consideration. And we also know that the XP stuff is also changing. Now, that's what caused a big backlash. That had a ton of people talking, but I think as far as the longevity of the game goes, I think this is going to be a big thing. I would love to know the numbers on console. I don't know if that's even possible to get right, but instantly you can only come to the assumption, especially for PlayStation 4 and Xbox, right, Xbox One specifically, that was in the millions. But with the new gen, I think that's going to be the opportunity to rekindle. Now, going to the backlash that this has got, well, it's got the big backlash where people are saying one of two things. A, my console is simply not going to be able to handle this, which is something I just completely agree on. Again, I'd be shocked if it does, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. It's definitely going to be fun, that's for sure. The second thing is, can I play this by myself, or will I be able to play with buddies? Now, as far as I'm aware, it is a solo thing. Now, is that good or bad? Personally, it's actually alright for me. I'm not really too bothered by that, if I have to be brutally honest. I can see the funness, I guess, in it being a co-op experience, but I genuinely don't think that's going to be the case because, hey, again, it's the harm room. But on top of that, you got multiple different heroes now in the roster to actually try out, right? We got an extra new, well, two new characters. Whether or not we can say we 100% like them or not, they're two new characters nonetheless. So I think like it's in a situation like this. Yes, communication is still bad. Yes, I guess the ship is still sinking, right? Is it able to recover? Absolutely, 100%. Are they trying to patch things up? Yes, they are 100%. But like, imagine this: it's like the ship is sinking and it's basically continuing to sink by no communication, and then when they go ahead and release stuff, then it's like just trying to put plasters on this patch, right? Because then usually when the content actually comes out, it's basically not up to people's expectations and so forth. But I guess it is really one of those things where you go ahead and say, hey, you can't please every single person who plays this game. But if I was to actually never play Marvel's Avengers since last year, so since its actual release date, and then I picked it up on a new gen console like next month, well, this month, right, March 18th, then I would actually probably go ahead and say, do you know what, this game is actually quite decent. And then you'd actually be in a situation where you're saying, hey, where's the new DLC characters? These are going to be great, because don't forget, these people that are going to be brand new coming to the game aren't going to typically experience what we did right at the beginning of launch, like losing all your characters' progression and losing your save data and so forth, right? Fingers crossed anyway, but we know, as far as I'm aware, that's something that was long, I guess, resolved, right? So we'll have to really wait and see. Now, one thing they did also say is there will be more on top of the new hero, new region, next gen version, the custom harm rooms, etc. So speculation is that more could actually be the campaign replay, which, by the way, they're not calling what we expected it to be a new game plus mode. So this is just simply a campaign replay. Now, there was actually multiple reasons as to why they didn't want to call it that. But hey, again, it's one of those things where you say it is what it is. But when you look at the custom harm room gameplay, especially when you see Iron Man, for example, with War Machine, then, I mean, you can see the funness in that. But I can also see where people completely backlash, because, again, we know that communication isn't 100%, so when you have an Intel, Intel, the company, go ahead and release that video, and then it says custom harm rooms for PC, it's not actually being clear that, hey, this is also for next gen and current gen consoles, whatever you want to call them. So again, a prime example where you can actually say, well, communication is absolutely terrible right now, and it still needs to be fixed. But every time they go ahead and announce something like this, it does get me a little bit more excited as to what they have, well, what else they have up their sleeve, I guess you could say. I know a lot of people were talking about the Ronin suit looking like a Mortal Kombat suit as well, like Scorpion. I get that, I'm not gonna lie, I get that, but hey, progression is progression. I'd much rather than I guess just everything we're getting right now than being in a situation where you're like, hey, this game is making no progression and it is exactly like Anthem. So hey, new content that cost me absolutely no money whatsoever. Can I really complain? Yes, I know. It's more like a no. You can't really complain, but yes, I can see why you would, but you just don't be ungrateful. Let's just say no, you can't really complain, and let's just enjoy it. It's free, right? As far as the $60 game goes, we got that. Let's just enjoy the DLC content. But hey, we got to get some communication, because that's what's letting this ship sink. But guys, I'll see you in the next one. Till then, have yourselves a ridiculously amazing day. And until the next one, adios amigos.